بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My name is Khalid Al-Ajmi. I'm with the elective of journalism supervised by Safiyad. And today I have my guest, Mr. Mutah Beale, also known as Napoleon. How are you feeling?
Alhamdulillah, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother. How are you? Good?
I'm doing very well, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So why don't you just give us a simple background about yourself?
Yes. My name is Mutah Beale, as you mentioned, but for those who don't know, I was formerly known as Napoleon. I was part of a rap group called the Outlawz, but of course my story started before that. I'm originally from Newark, New Jersey, born by a black American father, Puerto Rican mother, who both accepted the religion of Islam before I was born. Most people may not know that I was born Muslim, alhamdulillah. After 3 years old, my parents were murdered in front of me, so I was raised with my grandparents, who raised me in Irvington, New Jersey. I grew up wild lifestyle, eventually got away from the streets, eventually met Tupac Shakur, got into music, and things changed from there.
So you said you came back to Islam. What attracted you back
To Islam?
Yes.
You know, after the death of my mother and father, I was told that it was Muslims who killed my parents. You know, I was 3 years old, I witnessed the murder, so I didn't really have any positive thoughts about Islam. You know, I used to say I would never be a Muslim. I used to have negative thoughts about the religion of Islam. But alhamdulillah, years later, when I was in a recording studio, I was in a fight with my little brother, and it was a Muslim who stopped the fight. And he invited me to the mosque. This was in Los Angeles. So when he invited me to the mosque, I was able to go and see brotherhood. I seen, you know, Arab Muslims, black Muslims, white Muslims, Indian Muslims, Pakistani Muslims, and everybody was getting along. And I was very curious about this brotherhood. So I asked him to give me literature of Islam, took it home and I read it, and that's when I realized that this is from our creator.
Moving to Saudi Arabia, what made you just decide on doing that? To come here, fully live here?
You know, the first time I visited Saudi Arabia was in 2002. I became Muslim in 2002. A couple months later, I was able to do the Hajj pilgrimage. And this was before social media, so I didn't really have an idea about Saudi Arabia. People was telling me I'm going to a desert. It's nothing in Saudi Arabia but desert. So when I got here, I was surprised. In 2002, I seen houses in Jeddah, I seen buildings, I seen businesses. So I was very surprised because I couldn't Google. It wasn't no Google back then, you know.
It's the stereotype.
Yeah, the stereotypes, you know. So when I was able to come to Saudi Arabia in 2002, I was surprised of what I seen. I was surprised of the brotherhood that I seen. You know, for the first time, I was interacting with strangers who don't even know me, but saying, eat with me, drink with me. Coming from America, this was very strange. You know, we didn't see this type of hospitality and generous people. So I fell in love in Saudi Arabia from that day. You know, I stayed at that particular time for 2 weeks, went back to Los Angeles, and from that time, I always had this something in my heart that I have to return and one day live in Saudi Arabia.
Since you've come here,
Yes.
you've made a lot of entrepreneurial things, such
Yes.
as the restaurant.
Yes, yes.
How was that journey like, doing it in Saudi Arabia, a country you don't even, like, you came here just in 2002. Did you come with an idea to like, okay, I'm going to do restaurants, I'm going to do all these things, or did it come later on?
Well, 2002 was only a visit. I went back to America, and I was actually, I tried to move to Saudi Arabia again in 2008. It was unsuccessful. And then 2010, I was able to move here, alhamdulillah. So I've been living here since 2010. When I first came to Saudi Arabia, I was working with the Dawah Center. I love doing motivational lectures and speaking to the kids. So I was working with the Dawah Center in Shifa. So they brought me out here. I told them, I said, look, I don't want no salary. Just give me a house to live. I'm sure I will make it by the permission of Allah. Because I always had that hustling entrepreneur spirit, you know. So when I got to Saudi Arabia, I knew that I had to come up with some business. I love coffee. My first business that I ever done in 2000 and I would say maybe 2013, I teamed up with a few friends of mine and we opened up a small coffee shop. That didn't work. Years later, I opened up another coffee shop called MW Cafe. We closed down, alhamdulillah, we closed down. And then eventually we went into the restaurant business. So that came about where I have some Saudi friends. Shout out to Saud Al-Ayed. He's a good friend of mine. And I had some American friends from Dallas, Texas, Artan and Sunny. And they called me from Dallas, Texas and said, we want to do business in Saudi Arabia, but we want to open up an Italian restaurant because they was already in the Italian restaurant business. And I told them I don't think it's a good idea. I said, I think Italian food might be saturated in Saudi Arabia, but I think we need something different. I said, we need some barbecue, southern barbecue from Texas. And he asked me, he said, have you ever had smoked barbecue? Which at this particular time, I never had smoked barbecue because California, we don't have smoked barbecue. It wasn't popular back then. He said, okay, when you come to Dallas, Texas, when you come back to America, come to my house. I'm going to let you try this smoked barbecue. Next summer, I was able to go to Texas. I tried it. I said, I think we need this in Saudi Arabia. I called my friends, Saud. I said, bro, we have some Americans. We have this business idea. Saud went to America. He tried it. He went back to his family. And all of us, we came together like that. You know, all of a sudden, we was a team, and we decided to move forward. And we opened up Smoky Bears, I believe, in, if I'm not mistaken, 2018, 2019. And so we've been 2020 maybe. And we've been running ever since, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. In Saudi especially, there's a lot of paths
Yes.
to entrepreneurship. Why did you settle on like a restaurant?
The restaurant came without me even looking into it really because I don't have no experience in the restaurant business. You know, I have different experience in, you know, I had a clothing line before. I had different experience in the entrepreneurship, but the restaurant business came by my friend just contacting me and wanting to bring it over here. And they said, look, since you know, with us, we need you to be part of the team. And I agreed to be part of the team. My main thing is I try to do the marketing behind it because they run an operation of it. You know, my partners actually built the smoker with their hands. So when it comes to everything with the kitchen, I don't know what's going on in the kitchen, to be honest. But I knew it was a good opportunity because Saudi Arabia is a place where the people have coffee shops and food because Saudi by nature, they tribal people. So they like, even when you eat, you rarely would see a Saudi eating by himself. You know, I remember the first time I seen a Saudi eating at my restaurant by himself, I was surprised. I said, most likely he studied overseas, in America somewhere. But usually Saudis always eat with their friends or their family. So restaurant business is always good here.
Coming back to the topic of you coming here and adapting to the new environment, I was curious as to the language barrier.
Yes.
How would you deal with you know, a whole new language in a place where you decide like, that's it, this is going to be my home?
At 2010, it wasn't that many Saudis speaking English. Alhamdulillah, my wife is an Arab, she's Yemeniya, so I was able, many times I had to put her on the phone to translate. But it was frustrating, you know, because it was hard to get things done, and I got to put my wife to talk to this guy, or talk to this lady, and it was frustrating at the beginning, but that's how I was able to move around. You know, even if I'm outside, and I also have some American friends that live here for, you know, we got 80,000 Americans in Saudi Arabia. Most people don't know. So I would call my friends, and it took a lot of years of just putting my friends on the phone. Now I can have a conversation. Alhamdulillah, I can read Arabic. I can have a conversation and get by, you know. But in 2010, it was very difficult. You know, everybody, I don't speak English. That's the only English they know.
So you just depended on the wife basically translate.
I did the lazy way, bro. You know, the lazy way, just get somebody to translate to help me to move forward.
Alhamdulillah, but now you can. At least.
Now I can have a small conversation. I can get by, you know, alhamdulillah.
When coming here, were you stressed at all? Maybe faced some challenges? And if you did, how did you overcome them?
You know, when I first came to Saudi Arabia, like every country, there's no perfect place, you know what I mean? But Saudi Arabia in general, I always felt like home from the day I landed. I didn't feel like a stranger. So that's why I was able to come and just say, you know, these are my brothers. I go anywhere I want. I speak with them. I chill with them. I never had that problem. Some stuff, of course, maybe because the language barrier, the driving was very difficult in 2010. People don't understand that now. When they say Saudi driving is crazy now, I say you have no idea, bro. 2010, there wasn't no cameras that give you tickets. So, you know, these type of things. But a lot changed. You know, I remember when I first got here, I would go into a bank or a grocery store and everybody jump in front of you and you got to fight just to get. Now it's order. You know, now you go, you take your number, they call you. So I seen these changes. So I appreciate these changes, you know. So it's, you know, I look at Saudi Arabia, it's almost like a new country, really. It's not that old. I believe 100 years old. When America was 100 years old, I believe they still had slavery. You know, they was very backwards, you know. So when they say that when they come to the countries in the Middle East and they say they're backwards, no, they've really advanced and very quickly, you know, in a very fast pace. So I seen the changes from 2010 to, you know, 2024, where we at right now. Was, you know, I remember when I first visited Saudi Arabia, all of this area was no homes and nothing, it was all dirt.
Mainly, I just wanted to ask, like, if you ever faced like stress or hardship, what do you do to deal with that?
You know, that's life in general. Whether I'm in America, whether you're in Saudi Arabia, you're gonna have bumps and obstacles. This is life. You know, Allah tests the people in different ways. I always try to, you know, anything don't go my way. If I ever face difficulties, I always blame myself. I said, well, maybe this is because of my sins. I committed these sins, so I know Allah is punishing me there, so I don't really stress out. I go back, I try to correct my affairs, I try to do tawbah, I try to increase the istighfar, because I always blame myself when things don't go my way. Alhamdulillah.
Well, coming to the next question, inshallah, you involve yourself a lot with the youth here.
Alhamdulillah.
Whether it be at other schools, our school right now,
Yes.
maybe when they come to your restaurant. So
Yes.
I was curious to see like your perspective on
Yes.
where the youth is going in Saudi Arabia, like where they're heading. What do you think of where they're heading, and if you have any words to
Yeah,
say
for the youth in Saudi Arabia, you know, I look at them like my little brothers, you know, so alhamdulillah, the majority of the people in Saudi Arabia, because they have that Islamic foundation, they have a good foundation. But sometimes, because everything is changing so quickly and rapidly, that they just going with the flow, and they have to be careful. Like I always tell the Saudi youth, I say, look, hold on to your religion, hold on to your cultures, because you probably the last country on earth, I mean, in the Islamic strong culture is Saudi Arabia. And believe it or not, you have a lot of people who don't like that. You have a lot of people from the outside that don't want to see Saudi kids holding on to their culture or holding on to their religion. And I believe we live in difficult times. So it's very important that the Saudi youth remember their culture, their religion, and hold on to it, because this is one of the last strongholds.
For basically other people who used to be in your position or are in your position of they found Islam, they're not in the Middle East currently, or they're not in an Islamic country,
Yes.
and they're genuinely thinking like maybe I should go to Saudi or somewhere else similar, but maybe they're worried, like we talked about the language barrier, and maybe even like their own family won't even accept of them fully traveling, maybe they don't want to even go with them. So a lot of people might face some even newer hardships than before in your time. So what would you say to those people who would genuinely love to move here?
I think it's easier now. You know, the government of Saudi Arabia making, you know, like the premium residency where, for example, if people want to invest, they can invest a certain amount of money and they get this premium residency. They can invest in real estate, they get this premium residency, rather do business. For example, if a foreigner want to do business in Saudi Arabia, they get a foreign investment license which protect them. So I think now it's easier, and they're making it more and more easy as years go by. It's slower than, you know, it's slow process, but I think the government is very smart on how they open up their doors and who they let in the country, you know what I mean? So I think people should come visit. Now it's easier even to get with probably multiple passports, you can get a visa now in 3 minutes online, you know, do a tourism visa. So now come see it on yourself. You know, we had a lot of people that have been coming to Saudi Arabia, even some of my friends I knew from America and Los Angeles. And when they came here, they said, I never would expect this country to be like that. I don't want to leave. You know, we had some boxers that came recently from America. They had this big boxing event. And one of the guys, he was a Puerto Rican. He was the trainer of the boxer, Big Baby. And he said, before I came to Saudi Arabia, I was scared a little bit. I said, why? He said, because I was hearing horrible stories. He said, now I'm here, I don't want to leave. He said, I prefer to live in this country. So I think most people shouldn't believe what they hear, you know, with these stereotypes and the negative from Western media. Get on the plane, come see it yourself, and you can make your own judgment, you know. But I think Saudi Arabia, one, because of the safety. That alone, money cannot buy safetyness. You know, money cannot, we have police pretty much on every corner. We have police pulling you over. You have the biggest army in America, and it's still not a safe place. So safetyness is from Allah, you know. So you come to Saudi Arabia, and you don't see police pulling cars over. You know, you don't see police harassing people. You see police sometimes they just be chilling in the car, drinking their tea, minding their business. But there's safety. The crime rate is so low in Saudi Arabia that alone is enough for you to want to bring your family and live here, you know. So, and when people come from America, they see that. They say, wow, you mean to tell me if I leave my laptop here, nobody going to steal it? My brother came to visit. He'd been coming back and forth, you know, from Los Angeles. And he stayed in my house, and he woke up the next morning. He's like, Moo, I don't know where my Apple Watch is. I think I left it at the coffee shop. He was panicking. I said, bro, relax. It's not America. It's not Los Angeles. He said, man, if my battery dead, I can't locate I guess with the Apple phone, you can locate it or something. He said, but the phone is dead. I can't locate it. I said, what was the last coffee shop? He said, I was at the coffee shop next to your restaurant. I said, okay, relax. After I pick the kids up from school, I'm going to take you there. I guarantee you, you'll watch me there. I took him there. The next day, hours later, somebody seen the watch in the bathroom, and they gave it to the workers. And he got his watch back. He's like, well, I can't believe this was in L.A. It would have been going in seconds. So the safetiness, and people have good morals, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, it's a huge sentiment, especially with Westerners, because I think a lot of people are starting to wake up to Islam more and noticing a lot thanks to social media and stuff like that. Alhamdulillah. So they're noticing like how especially the Middle Eastern countries and especially Saudi is way more safer than there. So there's a lot of people that have this thought now of maybe I should actually move there. Maybe I should study Islam. And they end up converting, inshallah.
Many people come here and convert. Many people move. Even non-Muslims are leaving these countries and say, I'm raising my kids in Saudi Arabia. So for the youth, you know, I think you guys have to take advantage of the country. I think for the Saudi youth, there's so many opportunities for the youth. So for example, if a foreigner can come in Saudi Arabia by the permission of Allah, and we can open up business, alhamdulillah, thanks to Allah first and the government for allowing us to do it. We're foreigners. We still have some restriction. What about the Saudis? Because your country is backing you guys. You know what I mean? So I never seen a country where they're keen on really helping the youth. And they have so many programs to help the youth. You guys have to take advantage of it. Rather than say, I want to go to America, I want to go, you know, because before that was a mind thing. We want to go to America. Why go there when Americans want to come here? Exactly. You know, so take advantage of it.
You mentioned that you were working in like da'wah centers and stuff like that. Is that mainly like talking to non-Muslims, like just
Yes.
like talking about the religion?
Yeah, mainly talking to non-Muslims. Also, even Saudi youth, you know what I mean? That some of them, because unfortunately with the television and the music, they display a lifestyle that even some youth in Saudi, they want to go that route, you know, and they might say that look fun and it look appealing and pleasing. So an individual come from that lifestyle. I know the truth about that reality, and I try to tell the kids, no, don't believe what you see in these lyrics or what you see on television. So not only to the non-Muslims, but even to our Muslim youth here, because life is changing so fast, you know. So whenever I have the opportunity to speak and explain my experience, I would do it, you know, inshallah.
Well, that would be enough for this interview. If you have any final words you would like to say to the audience.
Shout out to the Saudi audience. Stay in school. Don't be a fool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.